MTG Scoundrels. It's in the cardboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, scoundrels of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Modern Weekly. Today on the docket, we have Eldrazi Tron versus Dice Factory, and of course, my low voice. Eldrazi Tron, strong positioning in the meta currently, and Dice Factory, a fun take off of certain Eldrazi Tron lists by using more artifacts to ramp up to what they're trying to do. But here is Devourer of Destiny, speaking of, as a pregame action, and now resolving the Devourer. Looking at the top four, exiling at least 3, and there's always that option to exile 4 if you'd like, but usually that's done more on if you're really trying to dig for something specific. So exiling these 3, looks like an Everflowing Chalice in there, and then drawing the card for the turn. There's an Eldrazi Temple, and here's a Mishra's Bauble into a Mox Opal, and passing the turn. Not a bad little start for the Dice Factory deck. Urza's Tower is the land for turn. Into a Talisman of Curiosity in passing. Another Eldrazi Temple. Into a Glaring Fleshraker. This is the start generally the Dice Factory deck would like to have. Oh no, but here's a Dismember. So that's going to slow things down a little bit. Bring us to 16 to 20. Another Tron piece. 5 mana available currently, depending on what's played. Crucially, that Mox Opal not on for the Dice Factory deck yet. Okay, just tapping 2 for a Talisman and then a Thought-Knot Seer for 4 here. That was a Talisman of Impulse. And we're seeing a Surge Node, and of course the Devourer of Destiny we saw earlier, and a Forest. So one of these are going to get exiled. Looks like that'll be the Surge Node. Passing the turn. Playing the Forest for turn. Alright, and here's a Core Tapper from off the top. Currently 6 mana available for the Eldrazi Tron player. Now on this build of Eldrazi Tron, it's mostly green mana off the talismans that you're looking for to possibly play things such as a Sowing Mycospawn. Speaking of 6 mana, there is a kicked Sowing Mycospawn. It's going to exile the Forest here. And finding the third Tron piece. Tower, Mine, and Power Plant. And the Thought-Knots here are going to get in for 4. Cracking the Bauble, looking at the top card of the Tron player. Drawing 2 cards, one for the Bauble, one for turn. Playing a Forest for turn. Two cards in hand, going to pass it over. Tacking in for 7. The Core Tapper going to get in the way of the Thought-Knot Seer just to take 3 here. Another Tron land. playing a Talisman of Resilience and passing the turn. Okay, here's an Everflowing Chalice being multi-kicked for 1. And passing from there. Eldrazi Tron getting in for 7. That'll bring us to 16-6. Here's another Talisman. Passing. And scooping him up. No gas off the top. And that'll do it. Game 1 going to Eldrazi Tron. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. We appreciate all the love you've been showing on our videos lately. And keep an eye out. We're going to definitely have some RCQ primers, as we are only a month away from the modern RCQ season, which for a lot of us is Christmas. So definitely be on the look for that. We're going to go over a bunch of different decks and hopefully give you guys at least a base to where you might want to start for your modern season. Now, these are not 2 decks that are going to really do too much in terms of sideboarding. You will see Dice Factory maybe bring in a couple of 1-ofs into the main board. But both of these decks are Karn decks, so you're not going to see much be brought in here. Eldrazi Tron might do something like bring in a couple of Disruptor Flutes, because that card can really do some damage to the Dice Factory player in terms of making it to where certain cards that cost more and just being able to turn off some activated abilities that aren't necessarily mana abilities. It also lets you fight opposing threats. Now granted, both decks play Ugin, both decks play Karn the Great Creator, so there's only a certain amount of things you can name, but making things cost a little bit more, definitely something that both decks are interested in, and especially the Eldrazi Tron deck. Moving on to our ads, definitely check out our friends over at Arcane Artistry. They happen to be playing in this match on the Eldrazi Tron list. And of course, they make wonderful food clue and treasure tokens in the stained glass style. Link to their Etsy is in the description below, so check them out. They have also been featured over on EDH Hijinks, as well as the Spike Feeders. Wonderful tokens in the stained glass style from Arcane Artistry. Now definitely check out our friends over at Grove Warden Games. They're a wonderful place to storm out and host of our channel. Link to their storefront in the description below, and they're working on getting their card ordering set up as well onto their site, so definitely check them out. And of course, check out artist of our channel, Sean Gerard. They make wonderful art, and I don't know if our channel would be where it is without their art either. So definitely check them out. Their Instagram QR code is up on the screen. Their email is in the description below. They are open to new projects, private or professional, so definitely check them out. Now last but not least, check out our socials. We are at MTG Scoundrels over on Blue Sky, Twitter, and Facebook. Most active over on Blue Sky. Definitely let us know what decks you're excited to play here in the RCQ season, and if you got any new brews with the different new sets that have come out. We have 7 sets coming out this year. Most of us think it's a little much, but it does give a lot of opportunity to brew new things. So definitely let us know and say hello to us in the comments. Saying hello to us in the comments, liking our videos, subscribing to the channel, and sharing with your friends is the best way for the channel to grow. And we have been on an upward trajectory that we never thought would happen. So thank you to all of you as we move here into game number 2 very shortly. Both players looking like they are getting ready for their first 7s here of game number 2. I've been shuffling them up. In a lot of ways, this is a matchup defined by who gets Karn down first to try to slow down the opponent in terms of their ramp into the lands they need and to their threats in general. Karn the Great Creator really turns off the Dice Factory deck, but also if Dice Factory worries too much about that, as we see in Ugin's Lab getting started here on the play into an Everflowing Chalice. So there's at least 3 mana on turn 2, which is a solid spot to be in. But Eldrazi Tron going Tower Expedition map. Here's an Urza Saga, one of the better cards for the Dice Factory list as well. Being able to create large threats and eventually find little pieces they need. Well, here's the second piece of Tron. Into a Talisman of Curiosity. Into a second Expedition map and passing. But on the end step here, we have K-Command for 2. Which is going to make 2 Eldrazi Spawn tokens. And scry 2, draw 1. Putting the 1 on the bottom and drawing the 1 on top. Then drawing for turn. Here's a forest. Which means there's 7 mana on the battlefield. Like, slamming an Ugin here would be pretty huge. Looks like catching the Saga trigger. But no, instead, we're going to get a Karn the Great Creator, which does slow things down. At least initially for this Eldrazi Tron player. Alright, looking at the Karn board. Finding a Pithing Needle. Okay. Playing a Pithing Needle. Oh no. Looks like naming Urza's Tower, but that doesn't do anything thanks to mana abilities. And there's a tale as old as time. Turn 3 Tron for the Eldrazi Tron player. Not doing much with it though. Just playing an Expedition map. Though you could see the Eldrazi Tron player just waiting for a threat to pop up that matters now that they've hit Tron. And deciding to K-Command on the end step to be able to double spell. Or maybe find a second tower. So Saga's going to go searching. Made a Karnstruct on the end step. Finding a Surge node. A little confused as to why the Chalice is tapped here. Played a Forest for turn. Okay, so putting a counter on the Chalice. Yeah, the Chalice shouldn't have been tapped. Okay. Counting up artifacts. Playing a Mox Opal, that does make mana here. So that Karnstruct is a 5/5. I tell you what, I would go try to find a threat. With the Karn, as much as you think you're in the position here. Okay, just deciding to plus on the Pithing Needle. Attacking in for 1. Bring us to 19 to 20. Oh, is there another Tron piece in land? Yes, there is. That's a second tower. Oh, goodness. That is an Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. Well, that'll turn a game on its head. Get to exile 2 permanents. So that'll probably hit the Karn. And what else? The Everflowing Chalice. Alright. Well, now you have to deal with an Ulamog. always feel in control until they slam the Ulamog. Oh, there's a Devour in hand. That's not going to do it. Though that is a threat. And sometimes just being able to hit with threats is what you got to do. Alright, Devour Destiny. Passing the turn. You have 2 threats on the battlefield. You can start doing some things. Looks like the Eldrazi Tron player is going to crack a map. Finding a tower. Shortcutting. Cracking another map. Finding a temple. The real question here, do you crack the 3rd map? Not that you necessarily need to. Drawing for turn. Playing a tower. Attacking with an Ulamog, exiling 20 cards off the top of the library. Real question here now is, does the Dice Factory player just take the 10? Looks like just taking the 10. Because you can crack back with 10 yourself as of right now. Well, there's a Talisman of Resilience and passing. There's a bauble. So the bauble there makes that a 5/5. The construct, at least. Going in, attacking for 6 with the Devour. Passing the turn. Map getting cracked on end step. Finding a forest. More or less, this is about thinning the deck a little bit. Try to remove the amount of lands you can actually draw. Though if there's a K command in hand, that'll find you another threat. Not that you need much more than the Ulamog itself, but you do kind of have to worry about crackbacks. The bauble showing, oh wow, the bauble cracking and showing the Ugin. Well, that is a pickle. Not that they can exile anything here. But Ugin Eye the Storms is just more card advantage. There it is. You plus it, gain 3 life, draw a card. And if you ultimate, you can play pretty much every card in your deck as the Eldrazi Tron player. So we're at 16 to 10. With being at 16, you kind of just don't care. More than likely here. Oh, well, there's a Kozilek's command for enough. Look at 9. Just going to exile the Construct. Putting all those cards to the bottom. Scrying 3 cards to the top. And drawing a card. Ulamog getting in. Here's 20 more cards off the top. One of them being a dismember, it looks like. Speaking of, though, here's a dismember, so that will, ironically, shrink the Ulamog to a 5/5. Only put the Dice Factory player down to 6, and then get hit going to 1. So one more turn to find something. There's an E-Temple. And the Ulamog's not going to be, or excuse me, the Ugin's not going to be enough here. And that'll be game, set, match. Going to Eldrazi Tron. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. And we will see you all next week.